Oh, you know what?
You can
This is,
walk
my
around,
first time
this is
visiting.
just like.
Oh, yeah, okay, I haven't
So
actually
you can
physically
sit there,
attended
you
the
can
meeting.
eat over there.
Yeah.
But I.
No.
I got out the separate.
Okay, but when you start, I want you down here, because I need your resource, because I think this will hurt your neck, unless you don't want.
We used to have one of those
Okay.
mobile cabinets that had a screen with a camera on it, you know, you're moving around.
Yeah.
So I really
Now it's
can't,
all-
explain, I just wanted to.
It's always.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Yep.
No.
So where do you expect it to be? But I think also.
You know, there's so much technology.
Yeah.
Now I know.
Now
I know why
his
name sounded so familiar. Yes.
Now, way out.
It's like a valley.
Zoom is on now.
That's what I started.
They didn't make
Oh my God.
But now, what, I just have to be very careful.
Yeah.
So the whole thing had a whole street of cars, and in fact, the cars were parked this way.
No, 1,000.
As they got out of the
Reminder.
driveway, there was a car parked right in front of the other car like that. You know, and then when I went down, I was going to go out on the street with that thing coming down the street. And then when I turned, the whole car is down there. I keep waiting on something about. It's getting used to be. So you give them the. It sounds like her contract, I know that.
Did anybody ever come?
But I can't, you know, I just took stuff out of the news. About spots, because you're not. Some people, Mike Sokol said,
I know there's a lot of stuff. Some of them ended up on the.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
This here? She's on that?
This one, yes.
You can, why don't you send me one?
Oh.
Because I just want you, it's like, yeah, but it's not, right, because I just want you guys up here. Eat and walk around and do, but when we start at 7, sit here, I need your reference.
Is there any cells?
We're pretty Perkins.
Yes.
Mostly seltzer.
Well, that's, I said to them.
I mean, at least we're in better shape than all the expeditions.
Yeah, we're gonna open with that.
Nothing strong on you.
Oh, you're going to Greenland?
No, but it's just.
Don't need to have to-
I was- I don't know.
It's just a little.
Did you, when you did, you what they did this morning?
You got your eye on that? I had this as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
I had this.
That's your thought. Get the living on it.
Spoiling the.
No, not long. Let's go. Good.
Okay, there are many. I don't know, getting that down.
Like 18 pages, like, oh my god. We have a trouble. And Wordle.
Oh, I don't need my money.
Yeah, everybody gets a pretty good. No one gets it.
Well,
Get this here, Bill.
that's probably great. I do with the old.
Yeah, I've been trained up well, right?
Yeah. A good husband, that's what I got.
There's nobody.
I just wanna see.
We have now three of them. My sons have. That's not 9 to 5.
We should get it.
I want to get the. Probably did.
Organized for you, and you could sit here and, good, I was gonna, I.
They were talking about that on the show.
Further back.
We have a 9,000. Never had a 9,000.
Hey.
No house, eating, can never go.
Yeah, help yourself.
I don't know. Shop.
And Claudia, so she, I think it's, we have to go out and bring it in. There's cans out there. We have to bring them in. I brought garbage. So that's something we have to.
Okay.
Sure.
These are officers. Do you want sharp?
So let's say.
But I actually, every year I was so.
Yeah, sure. Sure. No.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh.
Better than last year.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
So.
How are you? I sure has. You guys are. No.
If we were out of the way.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. We just gotta get it. They're out, they have to act something else. They're out to the right.
She's
Oh.
And the only thing they were able to do beyond that, all the concerts they used to have, go to the laser show.
Right.
Think called that.
I guess.
Saturday night.
So I get all the alerts. And I'm like, oh, there's a.
Every night.
I just. It's gotta be. It's about. So it's down here. Yeah.
Were you here at the beginning?
I wasn't.
We'll share the screen. The screen is out there, right? Slides, found somebody.
Yeah.
That should have a total.
Okay.
How are you, man?
How are you?
Thank you. Good, you did.
Glad I could too. Finally had the time, you know.
Great shirt, love it.
Gotta make them. Well, really show off too.
Ah.
That was gonna be. Don't. Yeah. So say something.
I'll leave some.
And then,
Eli's gonna do it. He's gonna do it.
Did I do okay? This is the easiest one.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, that's all okay.
So then.
Just likes to make sure.
They're over there. You got some. Come in.
Just because you came in and favor.
I mean, everybody come on in. Find a place to throw your coat and then walk around and socialize and say hello.
How we doing?
Hey.
Everything's there. That's really socialized.
Person's out?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, that's great.
Great.
Miss you.
See you.
Oh,
I'm gonna be here tonight.
Oh, there. Thanks for coming. Great to see you.
Grab some food.
We have a little basket with things if you, don't particularly gravitate to gluten. One sandwich is an Italian meat combo, and the other one is eggplant. There's a cucumber salad, there's macaroni salad. The drinks are over here. Get a raffle ticket.
Two.
You'll see yourself on these slides, I'm sure. Please sign the 40th anniversary banner over there if you haven't. And if you don't see yourself on the big bang, you gotta put it down. We're all part of 1984. 1983.
Yeah.
Lydia.
No.
I wrote her name.
I think it's 80% of the people do it.
Yes, mushroom. No. It's eggplant. Just eggplant. Yeah, no mushroom.
Yeah, it's kind of curious.
Yeah.
It's always. You know, that's true.
Are interesting.
In the same place. It's solid. Right, exactly. That's
Yeah.
That is a big bulk.
Oh, we changed that to one. Weather was dubious.
Thank you. I know this is really hard.
It was
Very 2019, I came up
Should do a lot, and they'll definitely know you. Sometimes.
Very informative.
How you doing? How are you? Great. I don't play those. Fine, thanks. How are you?
Shared responsibility.
I did.
How are you? Good to see you.
Yeah.
All right, Lisa. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Right.
Eating food, of course.
What's up? What's up? Fantastic.
Yeah, he made it.
Oh, sir.
I love this guy. I hate it. All the time.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
For sure.
Oh, it's white. Perfect. I love it. How about that?
So for instance, you.
Amy and Jennifer.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. We had her. Sign the banner. You guys sign the banner. This is the normal.
Well, I don't know.
That's right. Watch out. You get lots of trouble.
And you're riding. But I told him that I yeah, and then I.
Oh, I stopped.
Yes.
I had a 45-mile-an-hour scooter. I really wish I had a 55 just. 35-mile-an-hour scooter. You know, so the two can struggle. The two can be made out of one. Yeah.
That might
It looks, I'll take it.
Well, here, Bob, Denver.
It was, This might have to wear shirts.
It's like.
Yeah. But, you know.
Yeah, I was like, that's an easy first.
And you had an excavation or sort of, was we had the lights, so we could arrange to. Bridge, Harbor Bridge, is one of the steel cross bridges. I mean, you're full in there.
That's scary. I've heard about that.
Yeah, right? Must be, it was interesting, I think. Who did?
Yeah.
Yeah. I tell you.
I'm real. It was Carol.
How are you?
Oh my God.
I was really good to see you checking in. It's going great. You're gonna have a great. There's some serious.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, Mark. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Got a little bit better. On screen.
Yeah, printed version tonight.
How bad is it?
Maybe.
Like he.
Fill her in on that. Bob and I was going to work.
You are mystery. The super president.
Yes. There. Huge Yes. That's fine. Yes, Sam.
Oh, what's up? Sir.
What's up?
What's up?
What's up?
What's up?
Oh, is that?
Make sure you get something to eat. The drinks are over on this side. There's water in the containers. And, we can carry one more thing out of the parking lot. So there is instant coffee, decaf and regular, and tea. So we're gonna drag in coffee pots and all that stuff. That was the last straw. Please help yourself to some hot beverages. Make sure you get a look at those cakes before we cut them, because that is our own first photograph on that one cake.
And with that.
That's right.
And I'm sitting there.
You the draft copy.
And they said that, it's an urgent, it's very cool.
Whatever works, whatever works. If it works, it works.
But they would have them on the.
Oh, I did.
Not taking up.
Very, very.
For the right spot.
Actually, I two in a row. They're not having. And, you know, I've only had. Yeah. What was, which one?
One more year.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. But it's fun and unique and interesting. Yeah, that's what it's built about. Right.
Please, take as many as you can. Everybody's gonna get a little baggie to go home with, and it's got a little piece of paper to tell you how to get those pictures to Larry.
I know, I saw the event marking, I'm like, that's not
Please
us.
don't have the picture.
Yeah.
Like, I get in trouble. That's a question.
That's a problem.
Yeah. Oh my God.
They will. No. Nobody works. No, I didn't. They're still there.
That's really where I see what I try and say.
Hanging on to them.
If you get up to stretch your legs, we have some displays up here. Some Bob Davidson stuff, some Bill Newell stuff, some Westchester Amateur Astronomers stuff. The Chappaqua Observatory, there's some cool old stuff here that won't be in the presentation, not much of it in there, so take a gander and.
No, I'm sorry.
See the music.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is some of the best moments, like in Scarsdale, where they wonder the dogs. Stars, they have stars.
praying for you the past 48 hours.
And took off down the parking lot.
Go take her shit.
Eventually it fell, eventually it fall over. It really, it got a little dented around. But it's pretty much it.
Yes.
I said,
Here we go.
So Jesus.
Yeah. No, I don't do that,
Oh, I got that. Oh, yeah, that's pretty bad.
Now you're kind of. Yes.
We don't.
Then I got it on film.
Whenever you start carrying.
Oh, please, yeah, right now. All right, all right.
Right after.
That night. I put one together.
Oh, the fucking lady.
What happened? Did you bring cookies today? Yes.
And like.
Come up here.
No, no,
Right in front of you.
Yeah. That's the year that we got in the Huntsville Museum. We were there.
No, it's. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's see through it. Oh, yeah. Oh, there we go.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
It's so. All of that lady, but that was. The banner we bought. The banner.
Right.
So right now, this knows, even if you don't. You're gonna help. Put the houses.
I'm more than happy to meet you.
Yeah, I know.
You are. Yes.
I did one.
And you're still, I have it. And I. Yeah, we're signing them. You're on there. You and Lisa are on. Yeah. Yeah. I have.
Gray matter we have.
Yeah, I got my letter.
You guys do it like my head.
We did. Yes, every day. You do not. I still.
The last barbecue I did summer coming up. I'm friends with Brian Snyder. He has. He has. I take a peek here and there. She's making sure of it. It's been very nice. It's so kind. It was a really good time. So, all right, I will bring my vision.
Yeah.
Yep. No, I know that.
So much.
Yes.
No. It's like, oh, yeah, yeah, like, don't scratch. And you're in that little. Yes, they still.
I'll stand up behind
You know, the pair of wheels, like, together.
All right.
Yeah.
Our next watch. We asked our live right there. Now, you gotta remind me of the barbecue, you have to go to it, I forgot to bring it.
I know you guys.
May you drop it, so it's.
Oh, it's something.
Yeah.
Well, there was. They can. Thank you.
Hey, we're here. Yeah. And it was filled. I had a gold negative at the heart, and I have to stand, and I'm not gonna put it out, but I'm still trying to write. Yeah, and I have a dash like this is. And it's wise. Then I think here.
But I mean, it's. I guess the one trust here is for. Really cool idea, yeah.
That's not Bob and Doug. Doug. Where's the other? Right here. Yeah, he was like, wow. He's the one that would go. I just did.
I can't do this.
Yeah. Hey, yeah.
George got to take a.
Fred's left you. Fred's left you.
But,
The art.
Yeah.
I am now with this. I will be done. I don't think you're not. I don't think you're not.
Yeah, well, the first one. Really out of front. I sparked.
That's what it
Years that I secretary. Early 90s. That was my contribution to moving this year. So, but.
The winning ticket.
Yeah. Practice. Let me go on pictures. Okay.
And well, by our blood time. Sorry.
Like knowledge, you
Then I realized that when outweighed my foreign policy. I never shared that with you, but I share. Right here, there's nobody around. I'm like, here's, I didn't even touch it. I asked something. So there was a moment that we missed a lot of but it was a moment of I think I drank.
Try to show what the guy can see. I can't.
But I was waiting so hard. Like, the latter was saying, right? They were all popular. I mean.
Yeah, so that's.
They already have. That was a lot of fun.
Really. Yeah, the material that is, they couldn't, there have been no examples of this thing. I think it's, I'm sure. When they discovered that, it was spread as light in a certain way, it brought it up, and it would actually tell you where it's.
And Shannon and Karen, I just want to take a picture of our crew and Aaron.
They haven't changed.
Claudia has not changed. She's still on the board. She's still on the board, just saying. So everybody from the current board, could you please come up, advisory board? Board. Yeah. We have glasses on.
You're in, you're. You need to use a panorama. You're in the advisory board.
Charlie. Charlie. Okay. Keep fun. Keep fun.
Thank you very much.
Oh, so it's not behind the podium. I know we didn't.
Thank you.
Look at everything. Cooperative.
Anyone else? Wait.
Oh, I know.
I don't know. I thought it actually is. I thought they actually do this.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, so. It was that.
Could we have the back up here again? That would be Karen, Lee, Janice, Eli.
I'm the face guy. I have that experience. You gotta take a picture. You know what I got? Good thing too.
We decided to go ahead and start the dessert. Why not?
All right.
Right? So we have two fantastic cakes. If you didn't see Jordan's picture of Mars and the Moon occultation, you might want to take a quick look before you eat it. And a 2-inch piece.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That was on the front of the February newsletter. So we're cutting the cake and we're gonna get that around now. I know everybody already ate. But Bob wants Mark. You don't have to fight Karen for Mark.
I know.
We're gonna start in about 2 minutes, but I know everybody already ate. But this is a heck of a time. It's been a heck of a week. I'd like to offer a blessing. May the sun bring you new energy by day. May the moon softly restore you by night. May the rain wash away your worries. May the breeze blow new strength into your being. May you walk through the world and know its beauty all the days of your life. So let's have some cake and start this party.
So we understand that.
Very good, very good. Well done, well done. I think it's.
So tonight, we're gonna take a little trip down memory lane. And we're gonna go back to the very early beginnings of Westchester Amateur Astronomers, which was not Westchester Amateur Astronomers. First Nation lesson, that I know as. First Nation is a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know.
I think we're gonna. I want Mars. Mars.
The black and white are gold top one. So again, we've got instant beverage, hot beverage tonight.
Oh, so you just put it as.
Just put it in, yep. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. Figure out.
Thunderbird, Thunderbird Hills.
So back in 1963, there was a super duper marionette science fiction space show called Fireball XL5. And as an 8-year-old, 1963 was my favorite song. I loved it. And I wasn't alone. It was a minor hit in the UK, spending 12 weeks on the charts. The song Fireball was used to close each episode of Fireball XL5, a classic series created by Jerry Henderson. The song contrasted electronic music with jazz, which helped to differentiate the alien world from the human world. Very clever, very clever. Come on, Frank. Here's our Fireball guy right now. So don't leave Frank hanging. Everybody help him out here.
All right. Yeah, I know. Me too.
So fun.
What selfies? Come on.
I wonder when they're gonna start, guys.
Oh, sure.
Or did they start and we just don't know it?
Thank you, Eva, that'll be in
Good
my.
job.
head now for the rest of the day.
Keep the wardrobe here or whatever.
Yeah.
I'd say yes.
That's not gonna stop the voice.
On Facebook.
It always.
That was the silent version.
All right, well, hello, everybody. Thanks so much for joining this amazing 40th anniversary celebration. I just want to take a moment to recognize the amazing work of Eva, Lee, Karen, Wayne, We're gonna kick things off tonight with a reveal of the new Westchester Amateur Astronomers website. That's gonna be very, very soon. You're all getting a sneak peek. And here, to drive that sneak peek is our very own Eli Goldbach.
Guys, it's not that clear over here to hear it on Zoom.
So let's get him here.
Can you ask them to adjust the mic so we can hear it better?
For a young guy to do this.
Yeah, if you Westchester, there's too many stars. Even then.
Thank you, Con Ed.
It's not loading.
I got this.
A word from your sponsor.
Like any good tech reveal, there's always a small issue here. But check out the homepage. There's plenty more coming.
Well, the top header doesn't load right now, but
There it is. There we go.
It's gonna be our new homepage. We're gonna release this website within the next couple weeks. And this is a modernization of of what we have on our current website. And this is just gonna help us deliver our message a lot better. And you can see we have like a page for beginners, newsletter, outreach, and then the best part, we have a page about see the rest of the website, you can go to right now to test.westchesterastronomers.org. You can look at it on your phone, or if you want the full experience on your computer is even better. But so I'm really excited about this, and I hope you like it.
To Larry and also to Scott Millis, who are also on the web committee putting this together. Incredible work. All right, I'm gonna hand it back to Eva to bring us the rest of the evening.
Let's go. So,
Sorry, just gotta get everybody in, right?
okay, all my pioneers, you're in the back row, but if we need you, you gotta shout it out, you gotta help us here, okay? Well, I got some pioneers in the front too. So let me know when we're ready to draw a prize.
I'm ready.
The back is ready.
The folks that are playing at home are the ones we have to get ready.
Oh.
Okay, so I've been in the club a long time, but certainly not from the beginning. And we had this idea of having an anniversary celebration. And I think I had more of an idea than maybe other people. And I thought we should really do it up. So one night, Carly and Bill came to my house with 4, 5 boxes full of stuff. Bill could keep records for the army. This was every shred of paper, every single thing that anybody had ever used in that club. Phenomenal treasure trove. And then later when I went down to see Bill, he gave me Bob Davidson's stuff that was there. And it was a really, really fun to go through all that stuff. So here's somebody's name.
Can anybody else hear Joe? Guys?
Hear
Girls?
you. No, I can't hear him at all.
Thank you. Thought I'm going deaf. I don't think I can handle this.
Yeah, right.
Entire dome, the entire Andrews Planetarium dome reverberated with people applauding because they knew spontaneously who this person was. And of course, I was mentioning Dr. Fred Hess, who was a legendary figure, the dean of New York astronomers, and again, a very, very powerful speaker. The next day, I called Fred up on the phone, told him what had happened the night before at the Westchester presentation. And I said, Fred, if Joe DiMaggio is the greatest living baseball player, you are the greatest living planetarium lecturer. And he stopped me right there. And he said, no. He said, I'm not a lecturer. I'm a storyteller. And then over the next couple of minutes, Fred explained to me what makes a good presentation. Never, he said, lecture an audience. You'll put them to sleep. But if you know how to tell a good story or a series of stories, you'll have them engaged. You'll have them eating out of your hand. I learned that lesson well because a short while later, I was up at the Adirondack Mountains at a camping site, and I was asked to give a star talk. And I gave the talk with a laser pointer. And after the talk was over, a gentleman came up to me and he said he was from one of the local newspapers. And he said, that was the best astronomy talk. He said, I took astronomy in college. It put me to sleep. You gave a great talk. You're the best lecturer I've ever heard. And I said, hold it right there. I said, I am not the best. He said, the best. And then I talked about Fred Hess. And then a couple of days later, there was an article in the newspaper about the star talk that I gave, but there was also a good paragraph in there talking about how I expounded about Fred Hess and what a great lecturer he was. I took that newspaper article and I sent it to Fred along with a letter. And Fred sent back a letter to me. And it was a very lovely letter. And at the end of the letter, he said, as you so effectively brought out in your letter, continue to tell good stories. And that's what I've done ever since. I want to wish the Westchester Amateur Astronomy Club another 40 good years, and hopefully everything will be going along just fine for you. And again, I learned my lesson of how to give good presentations at that Westchester presentation I gave at the Andrus all those many years ago. Good luck to everybody at the WAA.
So, as I understand it, from everything I read and everyone I spoke to, we had our earliest beginnings down at the Yonkers Museum. Early on in 1919, that museum was just a room in City Hall. It was primarily a collection of minerals. And I think many of you have lived or have lived in Yonkers, and you may know much more than I do. In 1924, they moved to Glenview, which was one of the Gilded Age mansions. And then the Hudson River Museum became, in 1948. In 1956, they added a 20-foot planetarium in the dining room. The space race was really of interest. Things were heating up. Everybody was pretty interested in this. In 1969, a modern wing was opened with a new state-of-the-art planetarium with a 40-foot dome and seating for 120. And that was a big deal. So the Andrus Planetarium was built to celebrate the beginning of the space age. In 1987, they upgraded to a Zeiss M1015 projector, one of only 3 in the US at the time, capable of displaying 5,000 stars. So those of you that are young may not see this as the deal that it was. This was a big deal. In 2014, they had another renovation with a Skyscan digital planetarium. And Rick, you could get up and give a 4-hour lecture on this, displaying 22 million stars. Okay, big difference in technology. So now it's the Hudson River Museum Planetarium in Yonkers. This is an old picture, Yonkers City Hall, had some medals, the Glenview Mansion, and this is the current Hudson River Museum. So, as I understand it again, and I'm going to speak to Bill and everybody else, it seems that Sam Storch presented a series at the Andrews Planetarium, Every Man's Guide to the Universe, and this is Bill's copy in 1983. And the planetarium manager at the time was Joe Lemons. The lecture series generated meetings. There were 8 two-hour meetings, and it was $6 per session, or $35. $35 or $6 per session. Non-members were $50. $50 for the series. So this was ongoing. This is not great quality.
Greetings to the
Outstanding.
WAA. It makes me feel very old to realize that 40 years ago at the Andrews Planetarium, there was a series of Saturday morning classes, if you will, on just rambling through different areas in astronomy. And at one of those classes, several forward-thinking people said, you know, we ought to start an astronomy club out of this. And they did. And today you have a wonderful, active, growing, and involved club. It makes me feel like the proud parent of something. Congratulations to you on your 40th anniversary.
And Bill, you're the one that lived through this, so correct me if I miss anything here. On May 3rd, 1984, there was a Thursday night meeting of the Andrews Observers Group. That was the early version of what we are now. So Bill, you called them because you were interested in getting some kind of ephemera, because you were doing astronomy kind of
Update this guy.
update that guy. So you were doing astronomy in isolation and you knew that they had people
Yeah.
there. So
I had taken a course there in the 60s and I was under that dome, the 20-foot dome, where we were on the folding chairs.
and this was in the dining room.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
So Bill calls and they say, yeah, come on, we've got a group, we're meeting tomorrow night or the next night. So Bill shows up and Joe, to meet Joe, and instead he meets John Elbert, who is, Joe was fired and John was there. And John found out that day that he was going to be the planetarium director when he came really for a job
It
that
was his first day on the job.
first day on the job.
And I talked to the guy on Tuesday, and I'll see you Thursday. And by Thursday, he was gone.
He was gone.
Typical HRM.
So also present were 2 college students that were planetarium techs, Marty Hoffman and John Mazulowitz, and another Andrews observing group member, Ed Worm. So these guys are standing around, there's 5 people there, things look a little bit, you know, flimsy and hopeless. And John said, you guys want to just let this go, or let's try to make something out of it. And the 5 of you agreed to keep going. And that was the real start of today's Westchester Amateur Astronomers. Yeah. May 3rd, 1984. And so many of you were there. You maybe weren't there that day, but you joined, you came in, you supported the group, there was an interest. So that's the big bang. And if you're all in that big bang, so sign that little thing before you leave, or we will have security stop you out of the booth. So the primordial WAA in 1984. There were a handful of interested observers. However, talking to Bill and Charlie, not everybody wanted to go in the same direction. Some people wanted to be more of a specialist kind of a club, a little more academic, a little more in depth, and others wanted to show the stars to the public, kids, people. But they still continued to meet and observe from the Hudson River Museum campus. So you guys had access to Joe and Fred Haas and all these people that I've only read about. Joe, but everybody else. By the way, they call you the Elvis of Westchester Amateur Astronomers. I think, I mean, you're much better than Elvis. Well, if you hear it, it's, you should, you know, say, okay, that's great, but you're Joe. In 1986, John Albert worked with administration to formalize the club known as the Westchester Observers Group. They added a line item to the planetarium's annual budget for postage, for refreshments, for speakers, for security, because if you guys were in there, they had to have a security guard, because you might be out in the road looking with your
Yeah.
telescopes and stuff,
I
right?
guess so, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's good, certainly. And then, you know, you built it up and you had about 30 members. Over the next few years, Martin and John graduated and moved on. And then Bill and Charlie met at the museum for a Halley's Comet event in 1986, and they volunteered to set up telescopes in the driveway, is that right? That's when you guys met. So speaking of people that are cool and that you could have lectures with.
Hello, amateur astronomers of Westchester County. Neil deGrasse Tyson here, your personal astrophysicist. I'm duly alerted by Lydia Maria Petrosino that it's your 40th anniversary coming up. Congratulations. 40 years. That's a lot of trips around the sun. And as many of you might know, I was a full-up card-carrying amateur astronomer here in New York City, part of the WAA down here, and I valued every lecture, every star party, every occasion to pull out a telescope, get to see other people's telescopes and what they value about it and how much I learned. And so I always had a very deep respect and appreciation for the entire community of all those who've known from very early and maybe even later that the universe calls to them. And so may you continue another 40 years and beyond, bringing the universe down to earth for all who can be made to care about the cosmos. Congratulations.
For getting that video. Neil was happy to do it, but Lydia got on the schedule, went in, met with him, and they made it happen. This is Bill's observers group. And this is from the very first night you guys were there on May 3rd. And this shows the people that joined in a little bit later. This is history. There's Bill and Charlie at an event. If you don't look up, you miss it. So
We're both looking in opposite directions, trying to find the same thing.
Yeah. And then one of the things that I've been the most impressed with, especially with Bill, is these hand-drawn maps that he made every time they went out. Didn't matter if they were at Bear Mountain, if you were up at Harriman, if Bill, you are amazing. These are hand-drawn maps. And there are bunches of them. So, Mike, at what point, Mike Cipolla, do you want to talk? Do you want to wait a little bit, or you want to come down and?
Want me to come down or just stay up here?
You can stay up there, sure.
I'm sure that was supposed to be seen, but I want.
What's that?
I'm gonna ask all of the imagers that every month I see these images now in our newsletter that look like they were taken from the James Webb Telescope, and they're our members. This was one of the first images I made with a little Santa Barbara self, camera system with the built-in like screen. And I was so proud of this thing. And then I said, I'm gonna beg you, all of you who are putting these out every month, please have mercy on me. But it meant so much to me. I was Rick Bria helped me and Paul Allen. We were using the observatory he was maintaining for one of the Greenwich schools. And we just put this in, and I just, that too. So we won't be seeing that probably in the newsletter next month. I'm just overwhelmed now by what I do see. I was a two-term president in around 94, 95, and came in. Bill was the first person, really. Ann and I both came together, and Bill was probably the first person I really met who introduced me to what this club was about, and we just immediately connected, and And that connection has been a wonderful connection. That's now a deep friendship that goes forever. And of course, a couple of others here. And I had the grand pleasure tonight of seeing 3 people here that I know from the very starting group that we were in, Jennifer and Jimmy and Paul. And that just made it worth even to be here tonight, just alone to see these people. But I won't take much more time, but I just want to, one little anecdote. I joined the club and I said, well, I think I need to get a real telescope. I had the white refractor my dad had bought me that we all had, and it was great, but I said, I gotta get a real telescope. So I got what they call the Schmidt-Cassegrain, a Celestron, and it came in a very nice tripod and a wedge it was on, and it ran all night on a 9-volt battery, which blew my mind. I said, wow, I don't have to run my car battery out. But I was just telling Jimmy to see if he remembered, I set up in the field the first time I went with it to Pound Ridge very early on. And Jimmy ambled over and said, like, how do you like your scope? I said, the images look good, but I thought this scope was supposed to track, and it doesn't really seem to be keeping things in the eyepiece. And I see Jimmy sort of give a thoughtful look and then calmly just sort of walk over to my mount, take his hands, lift the entire tripod, wedge, and scope, and go like this. He said, try it now. That did it. I didn't quite have polar alignment. This guy showed me, this guy had a beautiful daub, one of the first daubs when I really didn't know what they were. And it's been a great moment since then. I've just been honored to be part of this, to know everybody in the club. Eva, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for coming. This.
For all you imagers that put out these great things every month. My one other major, I guess, accomplishment, or whatever you want to call it, was I moved the newsletter from a paper send out that we put together every month and mailed out. I decided I think we need to go to a newsletter digital. And that was when we did that, and it was met with a little bit of resistance.
Oh, that was a big deal.
But
somehow
it seems to have manifested into a good thing. So thank you all. Jordan, thank you for taking the reins, keeping this going. Appreciate that. And Larry, first off, again, condolences, and I know we're here for the joy, but I couldn't be here and not think about Elise. And just didn't know as long as many people, but unbelievable human being. Larry, you've been a wonderful person. We've had such a thrill getting to know you and knowing you now for as long as we did. We consider you dear in our hearts. And by the way, your newsletter is now one of the best astro newsletters, I think, in the country. It's just fantastic. Thank you.
What's the award, Mary, we win every year?
Apex Award for Publication Excellence.
Apex Award for Publication Excellence, 4 years in a row. So, early 1980s still, post-meeting socializing at the Red Rooster. Nope, now it's the Red Robin. Nope, it's Brannigan. Is it still there? Is it still there? Does anybody know?
It's Applebee's, I believe.
It's an Applebee's, okay. But still, that was a big part of this club. I could tell from people going out together, socializing, becoming friends, talking through their issues, making the club continue. Board meetings eventually moved to Bill's house in Mount Vernon. I'm so sorry that I missed those. I know I would have enjoyed those. The Person Meteor Party was something that stuck out in my brain when I was reading through this. They loved you guys because they sold 1,000 tickets for that. Can you imagine going to Yonkers to see a meteor shower? They sold 1,000 tickets. You don't know if people saw anything or not.
Nobody saw me here.
Nobody saw anything, but they were there and they paid to get in. So Haley's Comet Party at the Hudson River Museum also sold a lot of tickets, 800 tickets. And I saw in the newsletter, I think between you and Bob, that one of the volunteers showed what he thought was the comet, but it wasn't the comet. It was nowhere near the comet, but people paid and they saw it and they thought they saw the comet. The same night, Bob wrote in an email that another large group was up at Travelers Rest in Osmond in the parking lot with a -20-degree wind chill. And most people at that point said it was the coldest they had ever done in their life. And there was a water tower that was almost blocking the view, but I think you could see the comet.
Well, that was at the top of Executive Boulevard in Yonkers, which we would go from the sawmill up to going over to the Hudson River Museum. And there's a big water tower. Well, we were in the Travelers parking lot. And it turned out that it wasn't quite behind the water tower, but it was almost behind the water tower while we were up there. But there was one, I guess, a tech or a volunteer from the Hudson River Museum that had the Hudson River Museum's Celestron 8 set up. And it was really badly collimated. I mean, there were sparks flying out of the star and everything else. And a lot of people went home that night thinking that that star sparking all over the place was the comet.
That's okay. And that's okay. The Westchester Observers Group was still observing at the museum, but light pollution was making things hard. Not many members owned telescopes at the time. So they started going north to darker skies. So Chappaqua Space Science Observatory, you've never heard of it, maybe? Well, there's a story. Bear Mountain and also Harriman Observatory. These are pretty crazy stories of what you guys did back in the day. But before we do that, let's listen to Dr. Loudon.
Hi, Westchester Amateur Astronomers Society. It is Dr. Loudon from Yale University. I want to say congratulations on your big anniversary milestone. It's incredible to see this organization last for so long and have an impact on so many lives in that time. Thank you so much for inviting me to have been a speaker to your programming twice. I loved getting to meet you all in person and to be with you virtually. And I look forward to cheering you all on and this organization on for another 40 years.
You know, you find these little back roads and you gotta chase them, and this one was just something else. 1968, Mr. Hugh Moore was a science teacher at the Robert E. Bell School, I think it was a middle school, in Chappaqua. And he announced that he received a telescope 10 feet long and 16 inches in diameter from the man who made it, Professor Edgar Everhart of the physics department of the University of Connecticut. And this was for the Chappaqua community. So Mr. Moore had a plan for the eventual creation of the Chappaqua Space Science Observatory at the high school in Horace Greeley to be used for observing and astronomy education for students and the public. 4 senior students at Horace Greeley got $300 from the class money, and they built a mount. And the Board of Ed gave another $150 to the project. Things really, I can't say enough about the idea of the space race in that era, how interested and exciting people were getting. So Professor Edgar Everhart III began his career as a physicist at the University of Connecticut. They described him as a professional astronomer with the heart of an amateur. He died in 1990 at age 69, after lengthy illness. He did pioneering work in high velocity atomic collisions. He built much of his equipment himself. I dare say this was before OSHA. At the dawn of the space age, his interest turned to astronomy and telescope making. In 64 and again in 66, he visually discovered the planets from the Cohen Observatory in Connecticut. In 69, he took a position as a professor of physics and astronomy at the University of Denver. He was one of the first to exploit the potential of gas hybrid Kodiak 2415 film for astronomical photography. Anyone here done that? Just raise your hand. Over the years, he contributed many articles to Sky and Telescope on topics ranging from astrophotography and astrometry to telescope making and observing. So I just needed to know what this was. This is like dangerous. Gas hypersensitization of Kodak technical PAM film. And what they do is they bake this in hydrogen to sensitize the film. I just read enough to be really scared. I didn't want to. And again, this was before OSHA, I'm sure of it. So why is there a picture of Bristol Mountain here? This is out south of Rochester. It's a really great area. My dad built ski lifts. He put some lifts in here. It's an area that I had never been to, but I went a couple of years ago. So the guy that built Bristol Mountain in New York State wanted so badly to get on the moon before the Russians. He wanted to get to the stars, to the Mars, to the moon. He rambled all day, all night about winning the space race. So he named all of his trails for astronomy. And every few years when you go back there, they changed. The bar was Hale Bop, and now it's like, I think it's James Webb. The lounge, every trail, it's, right, Lee?
Yeah.
So much fun to ski on. Spacewatch, Space Shuttle, Ursa Major, Ursa Minor, Orion Belt, Asteroid, Polaris, Upper North Star, everything. And they still have I don't know any other ski area that has a totally themed out space ski area. Speaking of snow and winter.
Hi, this is Will Grundy from the Lowell Observatory in snowy Flagstaff, Arizona, congratulating you all on 40 years of looking up.
Getting rid of some of these prizes here?
We're good.
Okay, so can we post? Do it. Chris, you want to? Post ticket? Oh, there's no liability.
Still playing. I don't know.
Yeah, spin it.
All right. Well, I just thought I was.
One of the prizes is a book on Lowell. From Lowell
So
Observatory.
explain how people choose their price, right? And you have 18 people in Zoom.
Okay, 18 people in the Zoom. We have several here. We have 20 prizes. So we're gonna pull the ticket
Okay, there you go.
and we might need you. So if somebody.
Okay.
We're not gonna catastrophe if you don't know.
Spinning them out.
Okay.
So the prizes are first come, first served. So you get a prize, you come down and pick what you want. If you're on the Zoom, then you can tell us what you want and we'll hold it for you.
Okay.
Okay.
We sent the list out to everybody to look at today and yesterday. Are those too wet to read? Okay.
And we do have a grand prize at the end, so that you guys know, and everybody, even if you were, drawn earlier, we're putting all the tickets back in.
It's gonna be cookies?
Are you ready?
Yeah.
6521006.
1006. Do the last word. 1006. Wow, oh my gosh, we have a winner. All right, so we need to go down and pick out the cool prize. So there's a book co-authored by Dr. Grundy. We're gonna, let's pull another one, ready?
Spin it again.
Next.
I don't know, do we? Okay.
Just go like this a couple times. Okay, you're gonna mix it up here.
Your eyes.
Hanging Chad. That one's not gonna win.
1009.
1009. Okay. Yeah, give us the tickets back. We hold them off to the side. Louise,
Yeah, okay.
give us your tickets back because they'll go back in for the grand.
She keeps.
They keep our ticket.
Oh,
Louise keeps her ticket.
right. Looking smart. Oh, you got it. They got it. I'm sorry.
Nice.
So, and I know Joe's gonna know this.
Oh, and then
So,
we'll put it back in.
I look back at this doctor. This guy was blowing things up in his house, Dr. Everhart. And I was trying to find out more about him, and I found some interesting stuff on Don Machholz, who was an amateur astronomer, not trained. And he had interviewed Dr. Everhart on his podcast. And it was very interesting, and I listened to it. Excuse me. So this Don is an interesting guy, and I know many of you have heard of him. He was in the Army in '71, a meteorological observer. He discovered 12 comets that bear his name visually after 9,000 hours of observing. And wouldn't you find comets with this? Wouldn't this be the thing you want to find comets with? He created these binoculars. Did you see those, Joe, when you visited him?
I use those binoculars. This was the loveliest man I have ever had the privilege of meeting. He invited my wife and I to his home in Arizona in 2022 for a few nights of observing. And I got to tell you, to get to the house, we had to go through the roughest, ruggedest dirt road. I mean, it was only about 10 miles or so. It took us about an hour to get up there. But it was an incredible stay. And I'll always remember Memorial Day morning, 2022. I was with Don before the rising of the sun, the pre-dawn hours. He was scanning the sky for comets with light instrumental music, a beautiful music station in the background, or maybe it was a recording. And he said, and he had his observatory, quote unquote, was like the equivalent of a 4-car garage with every manner of telescope, binoculars, cameras, everything else. And he said to me, he says, take your pick. What would you like to use? He was using a 10-inch Dob to scan the skies for comets. So I looked at those binoculars that you see there, and I said, I'm taking those. And I got to tell you something. I saw M31, the Andromeda Galaxy, through those binoculars. I will always, they're ingrained, etched into my memory now. The most incredible, you could see the dark dust bands in the galaxy. It was just unbelievable. And I was also able to look at a few other objects. And like I said, Don was a wonderful guy. Like I said, we met briefly in Connecticut at some Connecticut astronomy function 25 years earlier for about 5 minutes. And he was autographing a book that he had written about Hale-Bopp, how to observe Hale-Bopp. And then he found out I was interested in coming out west to do some observing. And out of nowhere, he just contacted me and said, would you like to come up to my place? He said, you and your wife, you're welcome to do so. So we saw each other for 5 minutes, like 25 years earlier. And now he's inviting me into his home, he and his wife, Michelle, one of the most wonderful people I've ever met. And very sadly, only about 3 months later, I got a phone call from Michelle telling me that he had passed away because of COVID. So, but he'll always remember, he'll always have a place in my heart, like Fred Hess, as one of the really great people of astronomy. And again, look at that, 12 comets. I asked him, I said, you're still looking for comets? I mean, all of these robotic telescopes and these spacecraft now, they're catching comets well before any human eye could find them through any telescope. But he said, I know a few places that they don't look for. And that's what I look for and try to find. And I'm sure he would have found number 13 ultimately. But again, sadly, he left us much too soon at the age of 69. So great guy, Don Michaels.
He was credited with being a co-inventor of the mezzanine marathon. Completed 50 in 40 years. Also, in that group, Tom Hohlfeld and Tom Riley. He died in 2022 in Dorset at the age of 69 from COVID. Astronomy wrote, in the years leading up to his death, Michaels was considered the most prolific visual comet discoverer alive. And there you are. And that's your article, though. It's really terrific.
And behind us, that's the road that we had to travel up to get to.
So I'm back in Chappaqua. So Mr. Moore asked the parents for funds. And he wanted to make this a community observatory. He got $700 and built a structure. What is it? The thing's in the way. A structure, I think it was 15 feet in diameter beyond the soccer field to house the telescope. There wasn't enough money for a dome at the time, but they were going to get the structure. So in 69, Chappaqua School District, parents and community supporters held a special event, and this was a hoot, including an auction of property on the moon. They sold tracts of the moon. They had deeds, they had a lawyer, it was legal. Less desirable sites started at $1, and they got much more, like the Sea of Tranquility and everything else. They created deeds for the property owners. They raised $1,000. This was 1969. That was big money. Chappaqua resident Harry Glazier announced he would donate the dome funding, estimated to be between $6,000 and $9,000, when the community had raised enough of the funds to complete the basic structure. So that was a happening thing. The observatory was co-directed by Mr. Moore and Horace Greeley high school physics teacher, Bud Wright. Did you know him? Did you know those names, Joe? Any of those guys? Did any of you? So the observatory was shut down for a few years after the mountain buckled under the weight of the 200-pound scope. It was eventually reopened in '77 as a classroom for new scientific photography. They were doing a lot of photography there. The existing telescope was replaced with a 6-inch mounted telescope with special photographic slow motion drive. Enter our hero, Bob Davidson, who graduated from Horace Greeley High School in 1973. And in his papers, I found that he was, involved as a student. And he was doing astrophotography at the observatory in the 80s. He became the observatory director in 1984, just about when Westchester Amateur Astronomers were jumping out of the nest. WA members used the observatory for observing an astrophotography. And Charlie, we were talking the other night, and you said that it was like basically out on the soccer field, right?
It was a track, there were people who were using the track at night. So you had to fight off there was a big 8-inch, I guess it was some sort of it was an 8-inch scope, but there was lights around the field that they had because there were people using the track. So we really didn't get a good feel because of light pollution.
It was like, so that's the drawing, and that's up on one of these boards, and that's the picture when it was done, but there's additional pictures when they added the classrooms. Residents buy moon tracks and observatory ground. So Bear Mountain State Park. So you guys weren't there that long, but you were up there. So look at the view from the top. And this was named by the commissioners of Palisades Interstate Park to the memory of their first president, George Walbridge Perkins, in 1934. And they wrote on the plaque up there, whose broad vision and tireless energy made possible the preservation of the Palisades and the establishment of this great playground for humanity. And you gotta think about it, it's almost 100 years. It's still there, people still use it. It's pretty cool. So Bill, I'm gonna put you on the spot, or you guys. So you guys were up there observing when you had the Hudson Valley incident.
Yeah.
Can you come up and could you just say a little bit? People at home are starving for this stuff.
Okay. The Hudson Valley incident took place over, I guess, a couple of years. And one night we were up on Bear Mountain, and well, it's gone now, but we had like 60 people up there usually. They're nice and high. It was dark as could be. And somebody looked up the Hudson and saw a series of lights coming down the river and formation. So that looked interesting. So we started looking at it, and as it was coming by, with Peekskill down below on the other side of the river, we were able to fix our scopes on it, and we were looking probably at about like this kind of an angle to see what was there. And we could clearly see the airplanes, and there'd be two people in each airplane. One was sort of keeping the airplanes spacing and stuff, and the other one was flying. And they went down the river toward the city. I don't know if they went down as far as Yonkers or not, but they went pretty far down. We saw them turn over Westchester, head up, I guess, over towards Stanford, Greenwich, Stanford area, and then across the top of Westchester, and then back up again. And it turned out that they've been doing this for quite some time. In fact, one time they actually said, we later on met somebody from that group when he saw this article, and he indicated that they were actually able to hover their planes over Indian Point in a strong wind. So that it looked like the UFO was hovering.
Over the nuclear reactor.
Yeah, right over the reactor, yep. And they talked about how, they meet at these little airports like up in Dutchess and stuff like that. And, somebody would show up, and there'd be a bunch of cars out front, somebody would come inside, there'd be cigar smoke all over the place, but nobody in sight. And he indicated they really weren't too interested in them. Because I gather somebody had skydived into Shea Stadium during a game or something, and they were really interested in getting the guy that was flying that plane. But the outcome of the particular night we were looking, it was in the papers the next day. There were police cars chasing this stuff and crashing into trees, and the radios, the phone systems at the police stations were swamped. I got in touch with a friend of mine up in Bedford who was a true believer. Well, one of the people too was in the newspaper, was like a 13-year-old kid, said, "Oh, it hovered 30 feet over the family swimming pool for a while." And I talked to a friend of mine who was one of the true believers in this type of stuff. I've never seen one myself, but seen this type of stuff. And her take was, well, there might have been something going on that we were watching that night, but there was something else going on as well. So they did not believe, she didn't believe any of this was, a hoax. But even years later, Bob Davidson went to a UFO thing, and some of the big UFO people were putting this out as being a real UFO incident, and yet it wasn't. And we had a contact later on, as I indicated, that with a guy who had been involved in it for a few years. And so it definitely was a hoax. He said this was the only explanation he'd seen that it was correct as to what happened. But we were up on the mountain actually looking at it while it was taking place with telescopes and could see everything that was going on. It was it made an interesting evening.
We're gonna draw 5 prizes right now.
Okay. Spin them again? Okay. All right, we'll spin them again. We really want to make sure everybody's gets a chance here. Okay. All right. Right. You want to do one at a time?
Yeah, pull one.
All right, make it more exciting. Okay, there you go. Dig deep.
1002.
1002.
That is, that's on the Zoom, and it's Owen.
Owen.
You know what he's.
So Owen's on Zoom. We sent an email with the prizes.
We did.
Yeah, maybe we'll ask Owen to respond.
Well, let's pull some more tickets.
That's the one.
Otherwise, we'll pick something for him.
Yeah.
The other possibility is.
1034.
1034. All right. Come on down. Hold on. The pressure from this.
1001.
1001.
I'm here.
Alan,
That's my
here.
number.
Okay.
My name's Owen. That's my number.
Okay.
Oh, so is that Owen?
Yep, Owen's on.
So Owen's got to pick a prize.
Right.
And then Joe, who's 1001,
Yeah.
has to pick a prize. He's also a Zoomer.
Okay.
Yeah, they should.
So Owen,
So
okay,
when I,
Yes.
when I,
I can do it.
Where's the microphone for Owen?
For me, probably.
Yeah, I think we'll just pick.
We'll pick something nice for Owen and something nice for.
John is 1001 and he hasn't acknowledged yet.
Okay, all right, you got it.
Okay.
Next one?
I'm ready.
1035.
1035.
Hey.
And we got one more? Can we have one more?
Well, who's the one spinning?
You guys need a break, it's getting too bad. That's right.
1010.
What is it?
Binary.
010. All right, Joe. So speaking of scary things, this was in Bob's photos. Does anybody know what this was? Anybody with Bob that night coming home from Star Party? This was a actual photo. There were two photos and there was negatives. That's a little scary.
Eva,
Yeah.
you could draw another one because I'm getting no response.
Okay, one more. Come on, you guys, stay awake. Let's go. Honestly.
Got greasy fingers, it's hard to get it out.
Okay.
And there's a low one. 0998.
0998.
Bruce Wright, he's also on Zoom.
Okay. Oh,
Hey. The attention's on. Yes. Want to bring Tyler up? Tyler Cohen.
Yeah, there he is. Next. Bruce typed his choice in.
Oh, good. Yeah, space pride flag for Bruce. Thank you.
There's some other chats.
Yeah, okay. Okay, that was all just there.
Really? Question chat. Beautiful. Here we go.
Hey, Tyler. Can you unmute?
It's frozen.
Oh, gosh, it's frozen.
There we go.
Hi, guys. Am I up? Can you hear me?
Yes. We're gonna make it better.
Volume on the computer.
Try it again, Tyler. We're not hearing you that well.
How about now? It's a little hard to hear the audio in the room as well.
We can make it volume on the computer louder.
Is it on?
Try that.
Testing, testing. I can be louder if I need to. How about this?
Is it connected to the right speaker? If you go to the audio in the bottom left.
You know what he share, he has to click on use.
Yeah, go to audio settings, last bottom.
He has to do it. He has to do it. He has to unshare, when he reshares, he has to click on.
You just have to turn.
Tyler, try again. You just changed the speaker here.
How about now? Great.
So Tyler, thanks for joining us. You are the guy that came through the ranks of this club as a little kid, and now you're working on a PhD. I'm bringing an old pal from Star Party days, Charlie Gibson, to come and say hello.
Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
How's Mama? Brenda? How's she doing?
Mom's great. She's actually on the Zoom.
Okay, that's all I asked for. I remember you're so small out there, it's amazing, and you're doing so much in the field of astronomy and astrophysics. It's good to see you again.
Great to see you too. Great to see you too. I'm gonna start. Oh, I can't share my screen because someone else is sharing, so I'm gonna send a request.
Sure, looks like on the bottom is first. I may want to try my best.
Stop sharing.
Stop it. Stop sharing.
Share. There you go.
Okay, we stopped sharing here.
There's nothing like standing up there and trying to find the button. No. Everyone's telling you.
Does anybody need more cake?
All right.
Do you have a cake?
We can see.
I'll come to you.
Are you guys seeing my slides?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
you're seeing the main slide and not the speaker view.
Right.
Yes.
Great. All right, so yeah, I'm Tyler. Some of you might know me, but for those of you who don't, I'm a doctoral fellow in the last year of my PhD at the National Radio Astronomy Observatory in New Mexico. And I'm also a Westchester Amateur Astronomers alum. Yeah, I was asked to talk about my work, but I'd also like to highlight how WAA sort of helped me get to where I am now, because it has really been instrumental in my career path, sort of through all sort of stages of my career path. WAA has been a part of it. So I guess first of all, congratulations, and also thank you, because I wouldn't be here without WAA. And my career trajectory has also been one that has sort of been accompanied by an increase in telescope size, starting with Matt Gannis's 8-inch Celestron that he let me borrow. I joined the club in 2009. I actually, believe it or not, I actually remember my first WAA meeting. It was at the Rye Art Center, and it was Rick Bria and Matt Gannis were talking about Hubble image processing and showing Hubble images, and yeah, I was hooked from there. And you know, some of you may know that may understand that astronomy is still one of those fields that requires you know, mentorship and apprenticeship, and I had some of the best through WAA. You know, when I started in the club, you know, Charlie and Larry and John Palladini, and especially Doug Baum and Matt Gannis took me under their wing and served as my mentors throughout middle and high school. And I entered a science research program in high school, and so I started doing research with Matt. So I was more on the scientific research sort of training side with Matt, and then I got some astrophotography training from Doug, and I would go over his house some weekends and do astrophotography with him. And Matt lent me all of his gear, including that 8-inch Celestron. And sort of trained me on like basic sort of data analysis and backyard astrophysics sort of, you know, I got the, you know, image processing help side from Doug, and then I got the data analysis help from Matt. And I actually, as I was putting this talk together, actually found the first astronomical data I ever collected. I think the out of focus donut is a rite of passage for astronomers. The file name said this was Capella, so I don't know if you say so. But yeah, first astronomical data I ever collected with Matt's telescope. And they trained me on things like you know, how to you know, be dedicated and brave the cold. To collect data, and how to you know, keep your telescope stable on a piece of plywood. And I was actually doing backyard spectroscopy with Matt. I was analyzing the wavelength data from some different bright stars using the telescope, and he gave me this little diffraction grating. Some of you maybe have rainbow optics. They don't make them anymore, but one of those great rainbow optics diffraction gratings. So I put that between the telescope with a spacer and a CCD camera that he gave me, and I started doing spectroscopy. And I actually managed to drop that diffraction grating inside of his telescope. And was so nervous and afraid to tell him that he probably would have just told me like how to take the, you know, front glass off or something, but I was terrified of scratching the mirror. So I laid on my living room floor for 2 hours with a pair of chopsticks until I was finally able to fish it out. But yeah, I really got to cut my teeth very early, and got a very early start, and that sort of came to fruition when I started at my undergrad at Stony Brook University, studying physics and astronomy. And they have a 16-inch Schmidt-Cassegrain telescope there in their little dome. And believe it or not, when I started, there was nobody in the department who knew how to use this thing. The last steward of the telescope had taken a job at another university, and it had sort of fallen into disarray. And I took it upon myself, using my training that I had gained in the Westchester Astronomers, and sort of became the keeper of the Stony Brook telescope. And, you know, I wanted to, share, you know, the knowledge that I had gained with other people. So I started training some other students on how to use the telescope. I started a differential photometry workshop for some other interested students, became the president of the astronomy club there, and we were able to do some really cool stuff. Actually, Larry helped me acquire a Malincam, and gave me some tips on how to use it. And so we got this all set up and hooked up to the telescope there, and we were able to do some really incredible public outreach with the Malincam. And actually, that very same rainbow optic star spectroscope that I had dropped inside Matt's telescope, we connected all these things to the telescope there. And what we were able to do was, one of the outreach things we were able to do is we held a little workshop for interested people from around Long Island, teaching them how to do spectroscopy and actually showing it to them in color live. So this was the view from the Malincam, and it's quite faint. You might have to squint, but you can see some absorption lines in the spectrum of Vega from the Balmer series, from, you know, transitions of atomic ionized hydrogen in the atmospheres of some star. And we were able to slew the telescope around to different stars in the sky, and then have the color spectrum with some absorption lines pop up on the screen. So that was a really neat thing. Another cool thing we were able to do was ended up hooking the Malincam up to some 8-inch celestrons with some mylar filters on the front during the transit of Mercury in 2016. And we held this sort of public outreach event for the whole campus. People would come around and look at it, and we also had it sort of streaming to a TV. And one of the things we were able to capture was a satellite transit. So that's Mercury down there. There's the satellite transiting. I actually have a buddy in the U.S. Naval Observatory who I sent this to. I wasn't able to find it in any online databases, so I said, "Oh, can you tell me what this is?" And he said, "Oh, I don't know," which probably means it's one of the ones we're not supposed to know what it does. But yeah, really cool stuff. And yeah, thanks, Larry. And they're still using the Malincam at Stony Brook. This is really where things got going for me. Was in my last year of my undergraduate, I was able to get an internship at the Arecibo Observatory, and this just changed everything for me. This was sort of cemented in my mind that I was going to do the PhD, that I was going to, work toward, becoming a professional astronomer. And it was really the first opportunity that I was given to actually work with a professional telescope. And, they actually let me touch the buttons and run observations and stuff like that. So it was a pretty incredible experience. And the thing I worked on there was studying these objects called fast radio bursts. They are an object of unknown origin from deep space, although we're starting to get some better ideas nowadays on what they might be. But they're characterized by this sort of swoop in frequency. So they kind of swoop out in time, where the high frequencies arrive earlier than the low frequencies do. And so you have all these electrons in interstellar space. And when one of these fast radio bursts goes off, the high frequencies, the bluer light, and we're talking about radio light here, so it doesn't really have a color, but the higher frequencies arrive at the telescope earlier. And how much of this swoop you see, how drastic this swoop is, tells you something about how many electrons there are between the fast radio burst and the telescope. And you can use that to work out the distance to the object and in recent years, they've been able to sort of triangulate the locations of these with some optical studies of galaxies and actually identify some of the host galaxies of these. So it was really cool stuff, and it got me hooked on radio astronomy. So I was like, this is what I'm going to do my PhD in. I'm going to do my PhD, and then I'm going to come back, and Arecibo is looking to hire, and I'm going to work at Arecibo. Some of you know how this story ends. For those of you who don't, in 2020, the gigantic steel cables, several of them that support the platform that's above the telescope, this big old thing, the cables failed far below where they were designed to fail, and they slipped out of their sockets, and the platform came crashing down into the dish, and Arecibo is no more. So a little bit of a wrench in my plans, and I have not watched the video of the collapse. I still can't watch it. I haven't included any pictures of it here because still makes me tear up. But it was a incredibly fond experience, and a major milestone, and a pretty big step up in aperture. Next, we take a little bit of a step down in aperture, but not too big of a step down. After Arecibo, I had a chance to work at the Gemini Observatory on Mauna Kea in Hawaii. I was analyzing and doing some data processing for Gemini images and Hubble images of galaxy clusters. Still a very big telescope. 20 feet across is no small potatoes, and that's they won't let you lie on the mirror, but that's what it would look like if I did. This was really this was like photometry final exam. I was stacking images from Hubble combined with Gemini images of these galaxy clusters and trying to do some morphology studies, understand things about the shape. And I had these thousands of images. All of them are at different position angles, orientations, different parts of the sky, and they're misaligned. And then one of the telescopes is in space, so it's just getting absolutely blasted by cosmic rays. So this was really like my final exam on photometry. But I don't remember exactly how many galaxies are in this image, but basically anything that has diffraction spikes is a star, and everything else is a galaxy. So it's like something on the order of basically every point in this image that doesn't have diffraction spikes is a galaxy, and there's a few thousand of them in here. So that was another incredible experience. And then we jump back up again in aperture, and this is where I work now. The very large array in the desert of New Mexico. This is a dish radio array, and it's actually configurable. So all of these dishes, there's 28 of them. They're laid out along 20 miles of railroad track. So you can actually move the dishes into different configurations, and they can be as large as 22 miles apart. So we're now up to a 22-mile diameter telescope. And I'm in the last year of my PhD there now. And what I work on, next slide. Oh, yeah, that's me standing in the dish. What I work on is pulsars. These are neutron stars, the next most dense objects in the universe after black holes. These are stars that have collapsed in on themselves. Electrons get forced into protons, and you end up with just a giant ball of neutrons spinning hundreds of times a second. And they blink at Earth, some of them with atomic clock level precision. And we don't really fully understand the emission mechanism behind these, but they're great laboratories for extreme physics. And in addition to that, they make excellent astronomical clocks, which actually makes them
Hmm.
It's going to the
We lost
slide.
him. Maybe he'll come back.
Okay, so I was gonna help us with one more thing. If he comes back, we'll get him to help us. But until then, Pat, could you come up for a minute? You, for what? Just come up
Perfect for
here.
detecting gravitational patterns of being.
Tyler?
And
Tyler.
Got it.
So I don't know if we got him. So Pat,
oh,
everybody that.
am I back?
Yes, Tyler, can you help us with one more thing before you go? We have our friend Pat Mahan here.
Absolutely.
I think you could help us with something.
So, yes, Pat, with heartfelt thanks and appreciation for years of dedicated service and commitment to the Westchester Amateur Astronomy Club. Since 2009, you've provided us with the best astronomy lectures this side of the Oort cloud. You sure know how to reach for the stars.
We've had the most incredible lecturers and presenters. There's no comparison. Tyler, thank you so much. Can you come back and talk to us more? Can you come back again and talk to us again? Did you want everyone? Paul, can you come on?
We have these Star Awards, which WA would like to proudly present to a couple of people that are in the audience today. First, we get street cred because we have, thanks to Joe Rayo for giving our club such so many occasions and donating to us and your time and effort. And we had the Star Award, which stands for stellar service, a team player, admirable attitude, and remarkable outs out of get an R. So, Joe, thank you very much.
You guys see anything?
I'm overwhelmed.
This new award that our committee developed 2 months ago, Janice Spearman came up with this.
I don't know if everyone can see anything on Zoom.
No, they won't.
And one more thing, we've had a long list of presidents who have taken over, beginning with Bob, and people who have carried on the work of the club. And we're very grateful to Jordan Weber for picking up. Thank you.
So at this point, we're going to change things just a little bit. We need to have all the past presidents come up. I see Paul, Jimmy, Mike, Karen, Larry.
Can they show it to us too? We can't see anything that you guys are doing.
We're gonna look at it. You guys right in the front, face the group there, huh?
Bingo. Here we go.
In a second. Wait.
One more.
More
Yeah,
coming.
More coming, there's more coming.
Thanks.
Yeah, some of us still survive. There we
Everybody in?
Stay there. Everybody stay there. We have something for you, but I want you to face the audience. Our first past president award goes to Bob Davidson. In recognition of your extraordinary vision, leadership, and service as first president of Westchester Amateur Astronomers, your willingness to create and perform multiple roles in WAA, engaged and educated people of all ages and abilities. You and your co-leaders led the way. WAA's strong foundations continue to grow and flourish under subsequent leadership, embodying the spirit of curiosity and exploration. Your tireless efforts left an indelible mark on this community, inspiring future generations to reach for the stars. So we've got Mike Sofola, we've got Paul Rankin, we've got Jimmy Gondek, we've got Larry Faltz, we got Charlie Gibson, we got Paul Almeida, we got Mike Versinger, and Madam President over there, Dr. Karen Sider. Congratulations for your outstanding dedication and contribution to the of Westchester Amateur Astronomers. Your vision and commitment set a precedent that we strive to uphold and build upon. The humble club you helped create has blossomed into a vibrant and dynamic community of astronomy enthusiasts with a passion and curiosity for knowledge. Well done. Photo time. Can we get some pictures of these guys? You go. You did photos? Okay, so. Yep.
You know what?
Time again. Oh, boy, there we go.
Oh, we got a whole lot.
Why not? There you go. Wait.
So Ann Sofola, could you come down while they're getting their mug shots?
Who's upside down? Yep. There you go. Okay, perfect.
Want me to turn upside down?
I got the three. Okay, got it.
Can I be in one? Oh,
Neil done it.
Good thing.
Ticket to ride.
Oh, you got one. You did get one.
We will also be sending certificates to Carrie Myers, Doug Baum, Francis O'Reilly.
Yep.
Get them in there, guys. Come on, gal, get them in there.
One, two.
So can I have Ann Sofola with you, please?
Before Mike and Ann come up, I just want to say that, that first meeting that Tyler, came to was at the Rye Art Center. At the time, Elise was the president of the Rye Art Center, and she was the one who asked us to do something with the astronomy club that would support the Hubble images that they were hosting. That was also the creation of the database, because I had to send out emails to everybody. And I got the database and I realized that I could send the emails, but it was a terrible database. So we rewrote the database in Access, and it's a much better thing for our communication, makes it easy for everybody. But they're just in honor of my wife and her interest in the club, and when I took to it, she took to it equally. Just thank you.
So can we, Bill, could you come up?
I've been asked to read this plaque, so you listen. Bill Newell, with heartfelt thanks and appreciation for years of dedicated service and commitment to the Westchester Amateur Astronomy Club. Your vision in helping create an organization open to people of all ages and abilities with an interest in astronomy and countless hours of organizing events, drawing star maps, formalizing WAA status, and sharing vast knowledge of the night sky has been inspirational. Bill, thank you for getting us started. Since attending the first organizational meeting in 1984, you have remained steadfast in support of WAA's mission.
So we're gonna jump ahead. We're gonna fast forward through this because we're running a little late. You guys were at the Hudson River Museum. Things worked out as long as they could. There were cuts, the light was terrible, people didn't have telescopes. It wasn't the right place for you guys at that time. You stayed there and had your meetings, but you found greener pastures. I'm going very quickly through this, okay? Bob Davidson put his hand up for everything. Bob, Bill, and Tom and Patrick in the beginning. And then the 1991 election was when you guys became independent WAA. Okay, and there's your team right there. And this is just a letter from the museum outlining how it was going to be. So you guys were still going to meet there. They were going to let you meet there. You were going to charge your own dues. You were going to have your own leadership, and you would find other places to meet. This is the first volume 1, number 1, of course, and Bill's stuff perfectly preserved. Starlight, this was the name of the first name of the newsletter. All this stuff was done in like a month. You had a team, you got a CompuServe, remember CompuServe? You had a PO box. Bob got you in at Chappaqua, got you in at Harriman. That's another story for another time. He applied for your own permit for Bear Mountain because you got kicked out one night because bikers were up there smoking pot and they thought you guys were part of it and they threw you out.
There's a lot of weird stuff up there.
A lot of weird stuff up there. He arranged 2 fall lectures. He got a summer picnic organized. He got a bank account. You guys charged $25, which we still charge $25. 91, you started going to the meadow lot at Word Pound Ridge. You had shirts. NEAF started. The first NEAF was in 92. You guys were helping a little bit with that. Oh, wait, let me go down. This was a little crazy, this fee structure right here, okay? But that lasted for a little while, and then you went back to $25. I talked with David Levy. Oh my God, okay, this is crazy stuff. Yep. So.
George Latimer.
Yeah, it is.
Latimer. George Latimer.
It's a good one too. I think George Latimer. It's hilarious. But I can't find the link. Oh. Okay, all right. Because he talks about the orc cloud like he knows where it is. No, he's great. Put on your thinking caps and come up with a catchy phrase. You guys that were there, when were we the best club this side of the orc cloud? Was that ever on a bumpy stick? You did that? Okay, so I guess we had to wait for Larry to get in. CompuServe. Look at this. This is, talk about your images. This is like. You guys attended John Bortle's last public lecture. He is the Bortle of the Bortle scale and the Bortle survival limit. This is crazy stuff that you were with. First club's Messier Marathon. No, wait, Jimmy, that's where I want to go. So Jimmy, you broke the record in 95 with 102 Messier objects. You broke Bob's record in 94. Did you go more? Did you get to 110?
That was it.
That was it, yeah, that was it for a lot of people. In '96, Francis O'Reilly and Kristen Hedges got you guys incorporated, 501c3, you have bylaws, you guys were, and the newsletter became skyrocketed with more than 50% of the vote. You built a telescope. You grounded for years, you built a telescope at your house.
Partly, yeah.
Partly. The telescope is done. There's a picture. If you haven't seen that scope yet, that's Martin Lee's scope. He won 4th prize at Stellafane, and that thing is made out of wood. It's crazy. And if that wasn't enough, Bob reaches out to try to get some work and some research on the Hubble the Hubble, why not? Technical details for HS2 for amateur astronomers. Okay. We're at Pound Ridge. Tom Bousted did 100 editions in 2006, and I think you've done over 200. Last club meeting at the Andrus was 2009. 2010, you had one meeting at Iona. Then we started here, thanks to Charlie. I think you worked that out with Matt Canis. You were incorporated. I just want to say Dome and Domer is my favorite name for the newsletter or the Westrometer. Those were great names. There's a banner. There's everybody. There's Jimmy. You're sitting there putting that darn thing together, stapling, printing, Dunkin' Donuts. That's right. Here's an article that Bob wrote. What is the internet? Just think how far we've come. What is the internet? Young astronomers wanted. Eli's got the Ursa Minors. This is Owen, who just won a prize that he doesn't know. We're going to pick something good for him.
No, he picked it.
He did?
on it.
Okay.
Good evening, Westchester Amateur Astronomers. I'm Andrea Stewart Cousins, President Pro Tem and Majority Leader of the New York State Senate. Congratulations on your 40th anniversary. I appreciate the incalculable value of engaging fact-based STEM educational programs, and I am delighted there are so many stargazers, amateur astronomers, and science educators here in Westchester County. We are a curious species, looking up at the night sky with wonder, asking questions and making observations. Our journey of discovery traces back to ancient times when civilizations mapped the stars and planets. Our thirst for knowledge, coupled with advances in technology, means we're making new discoveries in the field of astronomy and cosmology faster than at any other point in the history of humanity. In the past 100 years, we've discovered an uncountable number of galaxies beyond our own. We've put mankind on the moon, and we've used science to explore the very planets our ancient ancestors gazed upon with wonder. As a leader in Albany, I advocate for engaging fact and evidence-based educational programming in our schools to provide children with the best education we can, especially in critical STEM disciplines. Just this past year, my colleagues and I delivered more than $118 million in funding for STEM programs statewide. I also know that the education we give our children must be partnered with an opportunity to explore their curiosities outside of the classroom. Organizations like yours play a key role in fostering and cultivating that curiosity in people of all ages and abilities. Your work as enthusiasts and educators is invaluable to the people and communities of Westchester, and I applaud you for all you do. Congratulations to you on this 40-year milestone, and here's to countless more. Keep looking up.
Greetings from the Stellafane Clubhouse. I am Cecilia Dietrich, the president of the Springfield Telescope Makers. On behalf of my entire organization, I want to congratulate the Westchester Amateur Astronomers on your 40th anniversary. That's terrific. We are so impressed with the work that you're doing in the Westchester area to provide support for our shared goals of encouraging astronomy and allied sciences. And we are thrilled to have some crossover memberships too. We wish you all the best in your future. Congratulations.
Gonna pull some prizes.
To use this feature, please make sure your app is running and can access the internet.
Can we, so we're pulling prizes here.
Okay. Yeah, you can pull my number.
0987. I like these
Oh.
numbers.
Close for you.
97.
There must be an internet version.
0987.
Got it.
All right.
That's rigged.
White tag.
Oh, okay.
What
else do you
If
see?
you want the Canon plate, you can.
Yeah. Could get a book autograph for Jackson.
Yes, plenty of books. Want the earth puzzle?
I know you like.
Okay,
books.
okay.
There. That's right.
There you go. I'll do it together.
We're doing.
You have one?
Hang on.
Okay.
Watch till they're gone.
Oh, my God. I know.
Going, okay.
We've got our final tribute to our members tonight. So draw the prizes and then we'll start this final thing.
1030.
1030. What's next?
One zero six five.
Mike's gonna want these dark ones.
David Platt.
That's not the Zoom one.
Okay, keep going.
Yep.
0995.
0995.
That's me,
All right,
Aladini,
we'll get you something nice.
0995, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So, do you have the tickets to the Hudson River Museum or not?
Yeah,
Yes.
yes. There you
I'll
go.
take.
Okay, who's next?
1003.
1003.
Oh, that's a big number.
What one? All right. Good more.
Next,
1018.
018.
That's Joyce Dow. She had to leave early, but she.
Okay, all right. What's next?
0983.
0983. Oh. 0983.
Someone have a pen, I can change my thing.
I will tell you.
All right. Come and pick. What's next?
0981.
0981. All right, Wendy, go. What's next?
1040. Puzzle, yeah. Yeah.
They're hard. Oh, that was our son.
Did we get 1040?
1040.
Oh, that's me.
All right.
She gave me that. Oh, my God.
Okay.
Conspiracy.
It's a
What's next?
1012.
1012.
Oh, you don't want a hat?
1012. All right. Karen, what's next?
Oh, Carol, I know.
1060.
1060.
It's Daisy.
All right. All right, Daisy one. Let's see. What's next?
1050.
1050. All right. We got a winner. Next.
1057.
1057. 1057.
That is great.
Okay, we got, open them up.
Hold on. Frank, that's a Zoom win.
Okay.
And he said he's sitting with Tyler's 95-year-old grandparent.
Oh, wow. Okay.
One, two, three, four, five, six more.
Okay.
You can draw again.
Keep going.
Keep going.
1022.
1022. All right. Next.
1023.
1023. That's gonna be a little gold find playing up there, I think, isn't it? No? 1023. Oh, George.
1032.
1032. All right. 19. Okay, Anne's gonna sign that. That's Anne's book. Very nice. All right, are we almost there?
How many left?
What else is left? Two left.
Two left.
Okay. 1024.
What was it? I wasn't paying attention.
1024.
Thank you.
Okay, I can't. Thinking of that's the name.
Yeah.
Going twice.
Can you put the lights down?
Lights on.
Down.
Down.
The waiting.
Is that winner? There you go, there you go. Yeah, something like way down.
A little more on that side.
So you need to pick one.
I can't read them now.
So,
See my kid, you should
thanks to all of you for who you are and what you've done and what you do. We have to take care of each other. We have to support each other. We need to keep this club going. We need to fight for science. Yeah, I have that. I'll give it to you in a second.
Hang on until after the presentation here. We're gonna do our grand prize drawing. We're gonna put all the tickets back in.
Larry set up. Wait, is that ours? That's not mine. Nice. Bob.
In the sun is rising, so we always rise. I spend my nights out in that moon. And never sleep. Nobody sleep. I can feel it on the edge of my finger. Takes me on the edge of my feet. You see, I never get sleep. Don't know why I can't get no sleep. Don't know why I can't get no sleep. Don't know why. Spend my night shooting at the stars. Turn to the west this time. I don't miss a long shot. Working out so far, so I spend my night shooting at stars. Never get sleep. Oh, I just sleep. I can feel it on the edge of my fingers, taste it on the edge of my teeth. So you see why I never can sleep. Never can sleep. Never can sleep. Never can sleep. I've already tried to make the book down, but I've already. Taste it on the edge of my teeth. I see why I never get sleep. Never get sleep. See why I never get sleep. See why I never get sleep. I'm so to see why I never get sleep. That I should hold.
I like that.
But it's beyond us, the sea and the sun. Before this, self is long when it's twice right. So if it's beyond us, then it's beyond us, I see the side. Trying to save us, you don't wanna save us. You blame, say it's okay.
Is that Chris Elman?
Got our whole lives, the same desire.
Too much coffee today. No, it's not. Sorry.
One of the last things that Bob wrote in a newsletter. I left the board bridge to the chirping birds and coyotes, gallivanted around for a while, unpacked my car, and I'm now sitting down in front of my trusty Macintosh, where the on-screen clock has just chimed 6 o'clock a.m. I should be in bed, but this is as good a time as ever to reflect on the day's events. First off, I want to thank each and every club member who brought all these goodies to our annual cookout. I can't name everyone, but you know who you are. I especially want to take a moment to thank Dorothy and Mike Brazil, who took charge of the cooking, slaving over the hot coals, providing perfectly done hamburgers and hot dogs. Once again, it is at these informal gatherings, the true nature of our astronomy club shines forth. An astronomy club is not solely about telescopes and observing, but a place of friendship and social interaction. One moment we talk about cosmology, and in the next breath, we change the subject to the Patty Duke Show or the national debt, but we have fun nevertheless, and that's what it's all about. My appreciation goes out to all club members who attend these events and make them memorable. I just wish we could see more longtime members and new members show up at our star parties and regular meetings. Don't be shy. We all started out the same way. Promise me something, okay? Promise me that we'll see more of you in the coming months. By the way, if you have any suggestions about the direction of the club, please give me a call or write to discuss your thoughts. Don't worry, I'm not a dictator. Well, maybe a benevolent dictator. Wow. It is grand president.
Did it help?
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Yep.
It's.
Did I give it to you? I didn't know
Occasionally, and once last year, on a very beautiful night, we took out the club's 20-inch telescope. That is an undertaking because it's large and heavy, but it's a beautiful instrument, and we always had a lot of trouble finding things with it because it doesn't have any electronics, or at least it didn't at the time. And I remember once they wanted to look at Uranus, and I was about 20 feet away with my C8. So I could just go to it automatically. So I put the laser on it and shot the laser up, and they tracked along the laser and they found it. But we decided to upgrade it, and we put in encoders, and now we can have it pretty much find whatever it needs to find. But for his foresight, his energy, his eloquence, Bob Davidson really deserves to be honored in a more permanent way than just what we've done today, which has been fantastic in and of itself. So we're dedicating the telescope to Bob, and this is going to be called the Bob Davidson Telescope in honor of Robert J. Davidson, first president of Westchester Amateur Astronomers. And we have a plaque that we're going to affix to the rocker box of the 20-inch telescope. And it will be forever known as the Robert D. Bob Davidson Telescope.
Very nice.
Okay, so the grand prize drawing is almost here, but before we do that, I promise this is gonna be quick, but I just had to take a moment for one final award. And in the spirit of, that great article that Eva read from Bob, this is for someone who really brings the club together and just completely embodies club spirit and togetherness. And so this is the WAA President's Award in recognition of the outstanding contributions to Westchester Amateur Astronomers in the pursuit of fostering club spirit and togetherness, and without whom we wouldn't have had this wonderful gathering tonight.
period, unless we lose one of our dogs, but I'm really dependent now, so go ahead.
All right, so you guys want to know what the grand prize is? How about,
Orange version of our ticket.
how about this? This is a ZWO C-Star S50 Smart Telescope. Download the
And
C-Star
it
app.
fits all in that box?
It fits all in this box. It's not very big. It's nice and compact and travels very
Wow.
well. We're gonna add all the tickets back in. We'll draw one last lucky winner.
Are the tickets ready? Are we ready to go?
I hope they put the Zoom tickets in too.
What's that?
Yes, the Zoom tickets are in.
The fix is in, no, the tickets are in. We're good.
Tickets are in, not the thanks.
Drum roll, please. 1014.
1014. Bob Kelly, did you win?
No, 1-3. I got one.
Oh, God, that's how.
But if anyone wants to subtract one from it, I'll take it.
1014.
One.
She's setting up a telescope. We have Sarah Bull here, who is going to be a future speaker, and she left some pamphlets and some free passes. Tell them for where.
Got it. Hi, everybody. My name is Sarah. I'm a board member at the Stanford Museum and Nature Center and a particle physicist by career. And I always wanted to be an astrophysicist, but I could never stay awake at night, and it was pre-Arecibo. So at the Stanford Museum and Nature Center, as Rick very well knows, we are building a new science and astronomy center. And it is 3/4 done. I was in it today. Our pillar is up, our mount is in, and the building has no heat or windows. But other than that, we're hoping for July. So we would love to be a part of your relationship with the cosmos. We're huge on education. We have a great space. We would love to sponsor you. We would love to have you put your input into our books. And we are going solar due to all the light pollution. So please come visit us. There are free guest passes. We would love to have you for the opening in June, July, or August, whenever the construction is done. And yeah, any questions, just email me. I know it's been a long night. I'll get out of your hair.
There are cookies still in the bags, okay? I didn't lie. There are cookies in the bag. So take the cookies, and inside there is the email address to get us your pictures. So we're gonna do a special edition. I didn't get through everything, but we'll do it another time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. This would have been nothing without you. And thank you, those pioneers in the front, in the back corner, that started it and kept it going. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, it's better.